Thank you. Deputy Catherine Connolly, please.
I campaigned proudly against the Lisbon Treaty and the second Lisbon Treaty, and I campaigned primarily on two grounds. One, the militarisation of Europe, and the second one, the opening up of markets on a neoliberal basis. At the time, I was demonised, and so were the small group of other people, and we stood together. In fact, the current President, who was TD at the time, actively promoted the Lisbon Treaty. And in that context, I absolutely welcome the speech by the Labour TD today in relation to his approach to this. I mention that because the Taoiseach has told us in one of these documents before me that this was all decided in Lisbon, and that we've had plenty of time since Lisbon to discuss it. Now, if the Minister present might just comment on this. The Taoiseach of this country has told us this was done and dusted in Lisbon in 2009. That's an extremely worrying statement. That's number one. Number two, various people have been quoted, Juncker amongst many others, that clearly, and you can pick any quote you like, and some of my colleagues have picked 16 and some have picked 15 and so on. Clearly, there is a will and a desire, and much more than that, a push for a European army. That's been set out for anyone to read if you want to read it. And yet, the Lisbon Treaty tells us at the same time in Article 10(3), every citizen shall have the right to participate in the democratic life of the Union, and decisions shall be taken as openly and as closely as possible to the citizen. Now, you might reflect on that article and tell us how you complied with that in relation to this PESCO agreement that's been rushed through the Dáil, regrettably supported by Fianna Fáil. And tell us what document has been given to us to tell us what you're signing up to, what you're opting in and what you're opting out of. Because again, I relied on my own research and to the organisations on the ground, and I want to thank them for all their work on a voluntary basis. And I look at the notification on permanent structured cooperation, PESCO. Now, I wonder, did either of you two gentlemen, deputies and minister, read any of it? Because perhaps you can refer me to some of it, because I have it here before me and I've read it, and it doesn't make for very pleasant reading. 10 pages, and so some of it has been quoted already, and let me just quote a little bit more of it. Based on collective benchmarks identified in 2007, and so on, there's many of them. I don't have time to read them. I've less than 2 minutes left. But listen to this one. Aiming for fast-tracked political commitment at national level, including possibly reviewing their national decision-making procedures. Increasing the share of expenditure on defence. It is spelled out in black and white. Now, did you read this document? Is that what we're signing up to? Are we opting into page 2 and opting out of page 3, or what are we doing? And I would have thought my colleague in Fianna Fáil, my ex-colleague, would have at the very least raised questions on the process alone. What are we signing up to? Who has seen it? When are we going to see it? After the decision is made next week? We haven't been told why there's a rush on the decision. Why does it have to be done this week at Cancorla? Ken Fáishin? And will it sagad? And will it say again then, yes, a Dáil seo? Why this has to be done by next week without any information before us? And we have an absolutely contemptuous level of argument from the Taoiseach and from the Minister here this morning, referring to hysterical and exaggerated, and that we should go and educate ourselves, and we've had plenty of time to do it. Really, this is the most serious instrument that you're going to sign next week, with the most serious implication, in a country where 9 people have been found dead on our streets, not in the year, but since August. And there's absolutely no hesitation in committing millions, the figures have been quoted, it's like monopoly money, to increase our spending, to encourage an industrial military complex, to encourage the arms industry, all in the guise of peace enforcement. You have turned language on its head. I think you have forgotten the difference between right and wrong. I think you've utterly forgotten the difference between the truth and a lie. And you insult the people of Ireland, who have repeatedly, in various polls, told us that they hold the concept of neutrality dearly, and they do not want it abandoned. And if it is to be abandoned, let us do it in a truthful way, with knowledge to everybody. How dare you treat the people of Ireland like this?
Thank you.